Welcome back. We have a big discussion in our hot sauce. As shocking as the not guilty verdict was in the Casey Anthony murder trial, what a lot of people were appalled at was one of the defense attorneys, right after the verdict was read, came out and blasted the media for their coverage.
That's right. People are still talking about it today. We're joined by Carol McNall, a professor at St. Bonaventure University. Also, you were a student at SUNY Buffalo, right?
Yeah,
as well?
my law degree.
Great. So we're talking a very smart person and an authority on this subject.
Thank you.
Why do you think this case in particular got so much attention?
Warning to students this fall, that's a question I'm going to throw at them too. I think partly it's that we have trouble resisting the appeal of a really cute little girl. And Caylee Anthony was a gorgeous little girl. And so as soon as the pictures hit of missing little girl, everybody went, oh. And then when you started to hear what her mother was charged with and the behavior that her mother supposedly showed, immediately everybody's like, okay, there's our victim, there's our villain. And then it became TV-worthy and press-worthy and internet-worthy, and off we went.
I think a lot of people were asking, could the jury have seen what we saw, you know, watching the whole trial? Did they see something different than we did?
They did. They saw a lot less than what we did, and this jury especially, because the judge had chosen to sequester them, meaning their media consumption was really, really restrained and watched.
That's normal for a case like this. Would you, or were you surprised?
I had gone poking back because I thought I'd remembered Tuesday that he had sequestered, so I went back and looked and went, yep, they did. It would be typical in a big-ticket case like this, but judges hate to do it because people don't like to be locked up for 6 weeks.
6 weeks, yeah.
Were you surprised with the verdict?
Yeah, I was.
Now, how is that? You're an expert. You know what goes on both sides.
Is it because of all that information we're privy to, unlike them?
I think it was, because afterwards I was laughing at myself going, wait a minute, you know better. And, you know, reasonable doubt starts to crank in. But when I was, and I happened to be sitting there watching Twitter as the verdict came out, and when they said not guilty of the murder charge, I said, okay, manslaughter or child abuse, and then not guilty, not guilty, and I went, what?
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
That turned heads. I mean, I was speaking to an ex-cop who's a friend of mine that was, has been in court hundreds of times for cases, and he was like, justice was served. There wasn't that one piece of evidence that you could say, this is her, you know, on camera doing it, or, you know, there was a mountain of evidence, but not that one piece that could really do it.
Well, in the argument I was offering a couple of people yesterday, including at least one who looked at me and said, I get it, but I'm not convinced, they couldn't even prove how she died.
Right.
And her defense attorneys jumped on that and pounded on it and said this wasn't a murder, it was an accident.
They seemed a little scatterbrained too, I think, but that's just my opinion.
I haven't gone to a couple of friends who are defense attorneys yet and said, so were you impressed with the lawyering here? I'm figuring out we'll head for that at some point.
I'm sure, though, he's made a name for himself, Baez did.
All of a sudden, clients are going, what's his phone number again?
Right.
Carol McNall, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure we're going to be talking to you sometime in the future.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And there are a lot of